It's time to move to our next keynote, which will be delivered by Dr. Kanav Kahul. He's the CEO at Pink Tech, Design India, and Divok Health, who would be sharing his views on balancing commercial growth and increasing affordability. So, Kanav, over to you.
Well, thank you for this great introduction. It's not every day that you get introduced like this. So thank you again. And I'm really glad that I'm here to talk to you about a few of the points. I'm going to share my screen now. Topic. So our topic for today is striking a balance on commercial growth versus increasing the affordability. This is a very important topic for India. India is a land of 1.3 billion, maybe 1.4 billion people. And when we are actually talking about average revenue per user, it'll always be a challenge. So how can IT actually help strike that balance is something we'll talk about. We're going to talk about it with three core principles, and we'll talk about some examples of how you do that within the laboratory and diagnostic space, which was, of course, a very active space in the last 2 years, and a lot of innovation has actually happened. So we'll talk a little bit about how we have done it and how these principles may apply to your industry, and I think any industry in general. So the first thing that's important is to create products that actually enhance the baseline of affordability. A lot of people, when we talk about the diagnostic business, will tell you it's only 60,000 crores. This is the number of reports we produce, DDD. Now, that is because you actually don't have the right product. Let me give you an example. The report on the left is actually the report that you will find in any laboratory report, any laboratory company. You will actually get the name of the test. You will then get what is your number. You will get what is the reference range. And in many cases, you'll actually have it bolded out if you're not within the range. Now, the first thing we realize that every person actually does once they are getting this report is to go to Google and they try and find out what exactly is this test about. And more often than not, Google will actually say, hey, your test reports is not normal, means you either have Huntington disease or you have cancer. Of course, both of those are not true in many of the cases. So there is an anxiety that is actually produced by the report. Now, what is the purpose of a report? The purpose of a report is to actually inform people about their health, not to produce anxiety. So what we did is we actually replaced this report with an information enhanced report, a report that tells you what exactly is this test. So you don't have to go to Google. It tells you a reference range in a graphical manner, but most importantly, it also tells you what are the questions you need to ask your doctor about this. Now that's critical, right? You should know what exactly is this test about and how can you actually create a co-design for your health with the doctor. Now, to take it a step forward, we actually don't only produce these reports in English, which happens to be the language that every report across this country is produced in, to actually producing the reports in Hindi, in Malayalam, in Kannada, in Tamil, in Telugu. We actually have created a report that you in your home, whether you're in rural India, whether you're actually in urban India, whether in tier 3, tier 4, tier 1, tier 2, wherever you are, you can actually go ahead and understand this report and know more about your health. See, the core is that your job is to inform people about their health, right? And so when you actually use that and you say, create a product that a wide variety of people can use, 90% of people in India don't speak English. There is a song called Angrezi Aati Hai Kam. And we have to actually understand that the best way to do this is to actually enhance or increase the market size. And that's what we are actually doing with this. So it's important to actually create products that produce value. Second point, use AI for good, right? This is extremely critical, guys. When we were actually in the middle of the COVID, the second wave and the first wave, we actually were getting addresses of people, right? Because that's something that the government wanted. We used those addresses to actually map them out. We had a simple IT tool that we did. We would map those addresses out on Google Map and then identify clusters of outbreak. What we would do with those clusters is, of course, inform the government about it. But most importantly, we would also talk to all the doctors in that cluster, as well as all the chemists within that cluster, which was easy to do using Google Maps. We found their numbers. We had a conversation with them. We would tell them there seems to be an outbreak of COVID in your area. And by the way, if somebody comes in with symptoms, definitely get them tested. If somebody comes in, please encourage them to get tested. And also DWOC is a great partner for you to get tested with. Our business has increased in those clusters by around 27%, right? And why that made a lot of sense, most importantly, was that over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, we were actually able to control the curve. We were able to control, the outbreak by increased testing. And that's what something that India has done really, really well. So the red dots you see here are actually people who have COVID. And that's what tells me that these are the places where I have to go and actually inform people, inform the different stakeholders so they can actually help us create a system. So AI has to be used for good. There's some amazing AI being done. AI to find out what kind of pants would I like, AI to find out what kind of face my little daughter will find funny or when the filter is put on me. All that's great, but also understand that there's a commercial value to actually using AI for good, and please include that within your practice. Finally, you also have to actually create products that where affordable doesn't mean lower quality or lower profit. This is a very bad assumption in India that people are always looking for lower quality or lower profits. I think it stands true in some cases, but I think it stands true mostly when we are being lazy. I'll give you an example of what we did with the reports. We found out that the biggest factor in reports that people actually are looking for right now is turnaround time. They're getting really good pricing. They're actually, not just listening to their doctor, they're actually going ahead and Googling what lab can come in, 1 mg, all these things are actually out there. But what they really want is a lab that can give them the reports in shortest amount of turnaround time possible. So we've actually gone ahead and then introduced this new technology, which has been existing. It has been existing in the ICU, in the emergency departments. I'll just play this little video. So you can imagine what power this would have if you can actually go ahead and get your thyroid done, your diabetes done, your cardiac markers, all of these done in under 15 minutes, right? So literally come into the lab, go ahead and get this, give your sample, get the test reports and walk out. This is extremely powerful. And we are also, of course, working on getting this technology on wheels so we can bring it onto your homes. This is something that people want. People want a rapid response. And it's very important that when you actually give this rapid response, you don't necessarily have to charge extra for it. You can actually create a business model where you are essentially charging the same as a normal report, which again enhances your market and literally, does the right thing in terms of providing the commercial growth, because you're answering what people want and still managing the affordability. You're not making this into a extremely expensive things. So that's, I think, my 3 messages, my 10 minutes of what I think we need to do is we need to create products that give more value, AI for good, not only AI for profit, and please introduce innovations. I think what IT is damn good at is introducing innovation. And I marvel at what many of you guys can do in order to actually not only introduce innovations, but actually put them within the system. So I'm really looking forward to all of us learning from the pandemic and continuing on this journey of enhancing commercial growth while still maintaining affordability. I'm Kanav Kahul, and this is my contact information. I look forward to chatting with you very soon. Bye.
Yeah, well, that was a fascinating kind of, I remember most of our speakers, including the yesterday's Ruchija, speaking about the need for localization. As a country as diverse as India, localization is definitely an aspect to be looked into closely. I hope, I also hope with the organization like PinkTech and DWOC, consumers will soon have a great value.